streaming. Now, from here, there we go.
Are we there? Let me see. Refresh. Refresh. And it's still not showing up for me on your channel.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. It'll be there. YouTube's just doing its thing.
Doing its thing. I
Doing
see
its
it now.
thing.
I see me.
You
Good
see.
thing I figured that out. I started streaming to Twitch before I realized. Yeah.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. No, that's including me.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Friday stream with Dylan. There it is. That's just going to make sure we got both of us. No, that's including me. Yeah, we got both of our audio. Look at me.
Man, we're on a roll. We're on a roll.
Oh, wow. All right. That's not painful at all. Watching old men try to stream. Wow, one old guy and one. You're getting up there.
I'm getting up there. I'm not that old, but I've got the brain of an old. I'm still using Facebook, which makes me feel old because all the youngins, all the like Generation Alpha lads.
I know, right? You know what? I'm starting to feel old now because I'm on Twitter. How does that work?
I don't know where Twitter is in the, because Twitter came after Facebook, right? Or I don't know.
Oh yeah, Twitter came after Facebook. Jeez, are you that young? Come on.
No, I mean I was I remember Facebook was 2008.
Yes,
but then I don't.
I didn't. No, it's technically 04, but it became
for like the Harvard.
I got in 06. So yeah, it's wow. I've been on Facebook 14 years.
That's depressing.
Oh, that's painful, man. That's actually very, very painful to think about. So
14 years. They got 14 years of dirt on you.
Yeah, no kidding. They're probably
Mark Zuckerberg's. Literally, yeah, that's literally what they're doing.
Please, Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, do not sell me and my family. Yeah.
Zuckerberg's rhymes with no.
Yeah, well, family friendly. Hey, so this is the last stream before Christmas. We're obviously not going to be doing a stream Christmas Day because that's
we're not.
Friday.
Aww.
It's next Friday,
yeah,
dude.
Too.
Like,
I realized Christmas was next week. I just totally forgot the Friday was actually so that's not. That could be a problem.
Yeah, well, and then the Friday after that is New Year's Day. So this is going to be the last stream before
for a little while.
Yep. And well, one of the things I wanted to point out, we actually don't have any viewers at the moment, so we can just sit and chat.
Yeah.
And I'll edit a lot of this stuff out later.
Can you do that? Can you edit live after you post them?
Yeah, when you post it, you can go in and actually edit this.
I thought it was like set in stone. I didn't know. That's interesting. That's cool.
No, yeah.
Well, that takes away the whole magic and adrenaline of doing it live. Is like the whole point is that you can't take it back. Other than to take the whole video down.
The people that are watching it live get the real experience. You know. Actually, I'm going to be bringing up a little bit later on. It's fascinating because I released a video last week on Monday, and it was the worst performing video I've ever had in the past year.
What was the video?
It was how to do your thumbnails. Because
that's ironic.
I did a video. Well, that's the thing. Like I did this video way back. I think it was about 3 months ago, and I asked anybody, hey.
67 views.
Yeah, and that's like I don't think that's ever happened. Like that's since day one, I don't think that's happened.
Is it because that is that's targeting like such a specific subsection of your niche? Like that's targeting the ones that you have following you that are YouTubers.
Yeah, I think possible because thumbnails actually also come into play for podcasters. For any clickable content, you should have a custom thumbnail. If you're
although I feel like a lot of these people are just going on Fiverr and getting someone on Fiverr to do it.
They're so easy to do though. And
that's
so
true.
I decided, I was like, oh, you know what, guys? I asked if you guys want to know how I do my thumbnails. And I got a lot of feedback. And people have actually emailed me saying, hey, dude, how do you do your thumbnails? They've always worked for me. So I'm like, you know what? It's coming up to Christmas. I don't want to be doing any major reviews right before Christmas. So let's just do how to do thumbnails. And it was hilarious because I did the video up. It was pretty simple and it got zero traction. At one point I was like, wow, my channel's dying. Cause like not only 10 out of 10 So it was out of the last 10 videos they released, not only was it in last place, but it was in last place by a mile. Like a country mile. I was like,
by a colossal
wow.
country mile, yeah.
And then I decided, I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do then? I am going to, I'm just going to do a video on, Christmas buyer's guide, a holidays buyer's guide, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
And that one at first, 10 out of 10 again. It was the
streak.
Yeah. And so I'm like, what's going on with this? And then all of a sudden it just picked up. And people started watching it. I'm like, oh God. Like it blew my mind how badly it just started to go. And I recognize that it's Christmas time and all that stuff.
People
but still,
you still expect. I mean, Linus is certainly getting lots of hits, which I think this is a great segue into one of the things that we want to talk about this week.
All right, okay.
Which is the Nvidia scandal. So I think you know more about this than I do. So if you want to take the lead on it.
Here's the thing. Nvidia, they produce video cards for anybody that's watching.
Is it Nvidia or Nvidia? I've heard some people say Nvidia. Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, it's always been Nvidia to me. You don't say the N, it's Nvidia.
Yeah, and Nvidia, or maybe that's why some people say Nvidia.
That's a whole separate
we're getting
video,
lost in the
Dylan.
weeds.
Come on.
We're getting lost in the weeds.
So, one of the things that they decided to do is Nvidia's always been a little shady in their practices. They'll send out video cards to all the reviewers. And one thing when you're reviewing products, and this is actually something I ran into with a few companies that have asked me to tailor my review to only cover this or only cover that. You can't do it. You can't decide.
That's why if I was to ever review products, I would never want to be sent them, because then they've got me, they're twisting me by the, by the nads. And I don't like that. I'd rather buy it with my own money and give an honest, review of it.
But most companies don't care about a little bit of negative feedback. Most companies will send you product like, with the Stellar X2, they sent it to me and they said, well, the only thing we don't want is everyone's done comparison videos. So we just want you to get this mic and use the mic. That's all. And lo and behold, it was a great mic. I had no issues.
And I think any company that has a good amount of confidence in their product shouldn't have. Like if I'm a company and if I'm Nvidia and I've got a solid I feel really good about whatever the GTX the 3090, and I don't care. Like I know that nobody's gonna have anything bad to say. So if they have something, it's like whatever.
Even if it's something bad to say, it's something you can work on.
You take
later.
it as feedback, right?
And
take it as feedback.
When Shure released the MV7,
I
asked them for the mic and they flat out said no. And they had sent the Shure MV7 to multiple other what are they, influencers, they call them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought
YouTube
my own.
influencers.
I spent my money, I picked it up, and I compared it because they launched the bloody mic, comparing it directly to the SM7B. Let's find out. And lo and behold, it didn't hold a candle. Like it was, and that's disappointing. But there's a situation when you look at all the other reviews. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? I got mine right back behind me.
I love it.
But when you compare it to all the other comparison videos that they were doing, people saying, oh, this mic is great. This is another SM7B. The next one in line, it's like, no, it's not.
The SM7C. It's the SM7C.
It's not even. It can't even be.
Nope.
Like, unless you're using
You can't
Unidyne.
even put it in the same. No, you can't even put it in the same category, in my opinion.
And you can
From what I've heard, I've never owned one. So full disclosure for anyone who's seeing this now or anyone who's seeing this after, I don't own an MV7. I don't plan on owning an MV7. Because other than having it for gits and shiggles, I wouldn't.
Mine's still up here. I wouldn't in behind me.
I wouldn't use it for anything. And again, I've got hardware to drive the SM7 very well, obviously, and and I use it every day, and I love the damn thing. I have between it and the U87 AI, I've got everything I need for recording.
So when
day-to-day VO.
When I was watching some of the review videos on the MV7, they're all focused on the USB throughput, not the XLR. And they're all focusing on very specific things. But then when you plug in the XLR, it sounded okay on USB. But when you plugged in the XLR, wow, was it leagues away.
A little bit better?
No, it was worse on XLR.
Oh, on XLR.
It was worse on XLR. You
than on
plug in
USB.
the USB, it was actually not bad. Like it had a fuller sound. As soon as you put the XLR pass through, it lost all of that butteriness, and I think there was some stuff inside the mic that was kind of pre-treating the audio.
So here's my issue, and it's one of the reasons I don't like USB mics in general, but especially in the case of the MV7, I would be skeptical. And it is that every company is kind of known for something, right? Like SSL, solid state logic, they're known for making really robust like mixing consoles that have lots of routing and lots of flexibility. They're not known for their preamps. Like if you go out and you spend money on SSL preamps, they're not going to be bad, but they're not the first company that comes to my brain when I think of really, amazing kick-ass, preamps like Neve or something. But Shure's a microphone company. Shure doesn't make converters. Or, well, they do, obviously. But Shure is not in the business, I should say. Shure is not in the business of converters. They're not in the business of preamps. They're in the business of microphones. So when a company like that starts, obviously, in order to create a USB microphone, there have to be at least two things inside the microphone. There have to be some kind of a preamp circuitry, active preamp circuitry. Actually, three things. Preamp circuitry, a power supply for everything, and a converter of some kind, a converter chip, and obviously like a USB controller to connect to the converter chip. There essentially has to be an interface inside the microphone, which, first of all, there's not a whole lot of space in these guys, so I would be a little bit reluctant to believe that you could fit anything of substance inside that. But I would think, which is why it surprises me that you're saying that XLR actually sounds worse, because XLR is bypassing all of that garbage.
Well, to be fair, with the XLR, you can treat the audio. You can actually add your own EQ curve. You can do all that.
Yeah, but you can plug it into outboard gear if you want to.
And you can use the processing power that you have. But when it sounds better raw out of the USB than it does the XLR, the first thing that goes off in my head is they only tailored the USB. They didn't care about the capsule itself isn't that good.
No.
And when you
again, to me, it's like, they've tailored it for the USB, but it's like the XLR. I mean, if the XLR was wired truly the way that the wiring is in the SM7, there was virtually nothing, including, and I reiterate from a past video, no transformer.
Don't anger the masses.
The SM7.
Don't anger the masses.
In the SM7. But that's one of the reasons why it's so nice is it takes out some of those additional components that give you all. So the question I have is, so when you're doing your A/B comparison with the SM7B and the MV7, was the level output from the two mics, was it comparable?
No, not.
Or was the
close.
MV7 hotter?
No, MV7. Well, the MV7 had hotter output. So I had on my AudioFuse Studio, I had the MV7 at about 2:00 and the Shure SM7B at 3:00.
I wonder if there's a little boost transformer,
but
it's not
it's not the same capsule. That's the
that
point.
too. I mean, that's a big thing.
But then you can't, if it's not the same capsule, you can't call it an SM7B, or you can't call it like inspired by.
What I would be interested to do is, if I ever meet somebody near me outside of COVID that has MV7, I would love to jerry-rig the capsule of it, into the electronics of the SM7B, bypassing anything, just to see if there would be, if it is at all, because it is a different capsule. They don't even try to mask that. They kind of do, because they're implying it's like the SM7. So, but if you read the specifications, it does specify it's not.
And the implication of that is so massive, because you're taking a USB mic and you're packaging it up and sending it out the door as inspired by.
Yes, as inspired by a legend.
That means it's going to have the same capsule, as far as I'm concerned. When you're talking microphones, the body of the microphone doesn't matter. You've proven that, like we've proven that with the SM58 versus the SM7B. The body doesn't matter that much. Yes, it does add to the character and the flavor.
Yeah, there are different resonances. Obviously, a big beefy body like this, there are some resonant differences between them.
Right.
But overall, they're using similar capsules, not the same capsule, but they're using similar capsules, and they have no transformer.
Yeah, well, technically, the SM58 and the SM7B, the SM7B has a tweaked capsule, the same Unidyne 3, I believe.
That's the winding. It is the same. It's basically the same capsule, but there's some small changes, like the winding of the voice coil is different.
Yeah.
And some other little things like that. So it is. Some would say a better capsule, but again, I think that. Have you done a video, by the way? I feel bad. I haven't actually been really paying attention on the Transformerless 58.
I am going to be doing that in the new year, and I just hit 100 likes. Actually, I think last week on that video.
Nice.
Because I asked if anyone wanted me to actually take the transformer out of the 58 and see if it actually compares to an SM7B. But I'm kind of getting off course. The initial part of this was about Nvidia and graphics cards.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get back to that. Okay.
Now, what will happen is when a company sends out a video card or any product, they want you to give your honest opinion. We stand behind this. This is great. Don't worry about it. Just let us know what you think. But when a company decides to try to influence the way it's going to go, things get dirty. And this is what happened to Hardware Unboxed. They're a tech channel out of Australia, and they were doing all their scales up, and they were focusing on rasterization rather than kind of what the new Nvidia cards do with their ray tracing. So they were looking more at just how they were dealing with the rasterization of the content rather than how it was showing all the light falls and puddles.
Yeah, how it was actually computing the three-dimensional space rather than displaying the three-dimensional space.
And Nvidia basically told them, you're blacklisted. Like they just said, you're not testing the cards the way we want them to be tested, so you're not getting any more cards. And
it's funny. First time I heard about this was when I saw Linus Sebastian was doing a live stream about it, and he was miffed. And I was like, what is he so mad? And he's describing it, and then as he was describing, I'm like, okay, I see the shadiness here. This is not good.
And the worst part is if you hand some of these graphics cards are thousands of dollars, you hand that over to a reviewer. If they decide to test it out as a hammer, you have no choice. But if they're doing it the service it deserves, and those are beautiful graphics cards, really great performance all around. But if
I've got one next year, I'll be buying one for sure.
Yeah, whenever they come in stock, I'm going to be picking one up as well.
Yeah, right.
But that when you try to influence basically what's coming out of the reviewer's mouth, you instantly blacklist yourself from a lot of other reviewers. And that's what's happening right now with Nvidia is they sent out a sorry, and it was a soppy sorry. Like, it was like, please, will you come back? And it was hilarious because Hardware Unboxed said, yeah, that's fine. But everyone else, Linus included, Linus Sebastian from Linus Tech Tips said, nope, that's garbage, that's dirty. And I have to agree. I've only had one other company ask me that. I won't name names, but one company's asked me to do a review and try to color it up, make sure you can't say anything bad about it. And that never went to air. I sent the product back and I said I don't want it because honestly, the product had some errors, and not errors, but it had some drawbacks to the product. So it's one of those things that you have to be able to trust the reviewer for, and.
Well, that's it. Like, especially if I never, if I'm buying anything at that price point, anything, I'm gonna, unless I've used it. Obviously, there are things where I've used it in a work context, and I'm like again, the U87 prime example of that. I used it in a work environment, so then I was like, I like this, I'm gonna buy it. Yeah. But if I haven't used it, I'm gonna trust, the small little network of reviewers that I've come to know over the years in tech or in audio, and I'm gonna listen to what they have to say about it. And these are people that I know are honest usually, and that are either buy the gear themselves or make it a stipulation with their arrangement with the suppliers that they are going to be honest, and if they don't want them to be honest, don't give us the thing to review because we're not going to do it.
And my channel's small. I'm monetized, I guess, but I'm small. So if I decide to amp up a product for no other reason other than money, or the free product, as you will, all it does is destroy my channel. I wouldn't go back and watch me if I was giving a dishonest review. So why should anyone else? So
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
got to be really careful if you're going to be reviewing this stuff. But at the same time, you also want work. You want to be able to get free stuff, right?
Of
Zoom.
course.
I've got a working relationship with Zoom. They're sending me the P8 in the new year. By the way, if you want to see the review of the P8, that's coming very, very soon. But
So speaking of 8, so I finished that thought.
All right. No, I'm just saying that those contacts that you build up, it's a shame to have to let one go. But if Zoom calls me tomorrow and says, "Don't say anything bad about the P8," I guess I'm not reviewing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's it. So you did you or did you not end up getting your hands on the H8?
See, way back, my goodness, must have been August. I reached out to Zoom. It was my first time reaching out to Zoom. And I just said, hey, guys, would love to get my hands on the H8 review copy. I'll send it back to you. Just could you send me an H8? And he's like, we don't have any in stock. We're sending you a P4, though. Oh, okay. I didn't ask for a P4, but cool. Turns out,
why not?
Phenomenal. Like the P4. Oh, my God. It blew me away.
So, again, Zoom with their letters. So the P series, what is that?
I've
never even heard of the P series. I know the L's. I know the F's. I know
but
the
what
H's.
does the H stand for?
Handy.
Is it handy recorder?
Yeah. Handy.
Podcast.
And then the F stands for field. So is it so then how do you separate the from the live track, the L?
I don't know. Well, the live track L8, I think, is going to be shuffled off to be more of a music focused one. I know they put it out there for podcasters and musicians, but I think the feedback they did get was it's too overcomplicated for people who have never used a board. And I got to say, like, looking at the L8, I looked at it and went, I know everything. But if you're just...
But you've also used, like, a broadcast board and stuff before, too.
So if you're just sitting down to that board all of a sudden, like, you look at the Roadcaster, it's so dead shit simple. Like, the push button here. Like,
and it's got the touch screen and everything on it. Like, it's...
So the P8...
It's a nice setup.
I think that experience with the L8 made them go, wow, we need something more than this. So we
need to have some product separation.
I guess the P8 is podcast or P4 is podcast 4, whatever.
Must be podcast. Yeah, they're all just part of the different lines. They're good. Like, I like Zoom's stuff. The H8 looks promising. The only thing, as I told you about before, off of a stream, but I don't like the layout of it is just annoying. The whole, like, again, I like the H6 because yes, it could still accommodate a mountain of inputs, but you could hold it in your hand comfortably without it looking like you're holding a spaceship.
The H8 looks like it would be on the edge of handheld. Like handy is
not that handy.
But it's still like one of those things, and this is what I got into, because you can use an H5 or an H6 as an interface. I think it's kind of sitting on that level of, you can use
They're trying to combine. To me, this is an example. And again, I think the H8 still is a phenomenal product. I don't knock it. I would definitely consider getting it. I would only consider getting it over the H6 on account of, apparently, I've heard from some people, not an official review, but I've heard from some people that the preamps are a little bit less noisy in there. But that remains to be seen.
And a lot of people gripe on the Zoom series. They have loud preamps. Most people that are saying that have no idea what they mean by loud preamps.
No, I honestly, the H6 and then the H5 subsequently, which actually came out after the H6.
Yeah.
And they share the same preamps. They're phenomenal preamps.
Yeah.
Which is why I was looking. I mean, even the H4n, which I've used for work situations and we've used it for client recordings and whatnot, it's a really good recorder.
And I mean, if you're 100% gain, you're going to get some noise, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. If you plug an SM7 into an H8 and you're recording an acoustic guitar with it, you're going to be seeing a lot of
why
problems.
Did you buy an H5 or an H6 with an SM7B?
Use one of these if you're gonna use something like that. I think in general with handy recorders, having a nice cheap set of pencil mics around or condensed. The capsules that come with those recorders are condenser microphones.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they would sort of be engineered to work really well. Now, that said, if you plug a 58 into them, it'll still probably work okay.
And it sounds fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
that was my interview setup for a couple years while I was doing interview work. Ken says the P4 handles my SM58 and SM57 with ease. No fat head or cloud lifter. Yeah, 70 dB of gain on that little thing that's like $250. I don't know anywhere where you can get 70 dB of gain for $250. And it's not the cleanest gain. It's their newer preamps. So
you just said so it works well with the 58 and you say the 57 or the SM7?
57. The SM57.
Okay, well both of those are transformered, so they shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they still need more gain, but I would be interested to try it.
I did. In the video, I ran an SM7B with it.
Through the...
And it was fine.
Did it work?
Yeah, it was fine.
Good.
And no, I didn't do that video with the SM7B. That's right. But I have run an SM7B through it. It is fine. 70 dB again. You start getting noise at around 64 dB. Like noticeable.
Yeah, which is it's at that part of the gain knob in that last quarter that's always going to be a little bit beefier,
but you're still driving an SM7B with a little bit of noise.
Yeah, with a little battery power. Well, what is it powered by? USB? Or?
You can do USB. You can do battery. And actually, the great thing about the P4 that I loved when I set it up is you could do all battery powered. And then you can swap batteries out. So if you had some AA's in the back, you can swap with a battery bank. And then you can keep swapping battery banks out as long as you have AA's in the back that were charged. So you could record limitless.
Kind of infinitely. Or just, plug it into... Yeah. Well, you just get a big honking. Like, I've got a power bank that can charge my phone 9 times over. It could probably run that thing for a day.
Yeah, Ken says I used the ZDM1, and I did. And you know what the worst part is I had to send that back, and I completely forgot to do my independent review of the ZDM1, which is actually a great little mic that costs $120. You get the mic, you get the headphones, you get a cable, like an XLR cable, everything. I got to say, I was actually rather impressed with the ZDM1. However, I didn't get to do the independent review because things had to go back to Zoom. But, CF Wheezy just found your channel, watched a bunch of mics and mixers. Thanks, man.
Wheezy.
You are welcome for the help. You know, just trying to have fun and get as much gear as possible. I want to
you subscribe.
Yeah, I want to sit on a mountain of gear by the time this is all over. You know.
Oh yeah, you want to be like I remember I used to see old videos of LTT back when they were in a house back before they had their big studio. And they had like closets full of stuff, like computer gear. And I'm like, oh man, I want to live there.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's funny too, because I started this channel. This channel's technically a tech channel. But because I was building my studio out, I decided to start the channel for studios. So tech is something that this is going to be, we're going to be moving to other tech as we go. But right now, obviously, it's all audio-based and studio-based. But there's only so many microphones, dude. Like
it's true. Wow, don't even joke. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially if you start looking at the bigger ones. Like I think one company you should look into at some point is Austrian Audio.
I've sent a line out because there's a couple of them over in that side of the world. Austrian Audio. They've got the OC818, right? It's
yes. So Austrian is the interesting one because AKG used to have their factory in Vienna, I believe, and several years ago they shut her down, and a lot of the people that worked at the AKG studio went and started their own company. So buying an Austrian audio piece, does not come with the prestigious price tag of an AKG. However, it comes with, in my opinion, the same engineering and quality and sound
that 818 is still kind of pricey. I was looking into it.
Yeah, you're still looking at 4 figures for several products, but I mean when you compare it to the AKG C12, which is like 8 to 10 grand, it's not.
So getting a little bit behind here. Ken says USB into my Samsung phone works, no apps and calls, makes for some incredible sound for phone calls or videos. You know what? And a lot of people don't realize that USB into a phone works great. it's
you mean
plugging a
USB mic?
Yeah.
Yep.
CF Weezy, I did end up with the MV7, perfect for my needs. The mixer thing is still up in the air for me. So many to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, you're about to go down a rabbit hole of going broke buying gear. So
Yeah,
run
we've all
that
been there.
USB mic out as long as you can. Wait to upgrade, man, because once you start, this stuff really does build up.
It'll eat you.
Neptune says Microtech Gfel is overlooked so much. Can you actually review Microtech Gfel MD300? Have you ever heard of the Microtech Gfel? Gefell.
Yeah, Gfel. Yeah, I've heard of
Gfel. Oh, I'm saying
I call them Gfel. I don't know if they're actually called Gfel. I call them Gfel, and
Gfel?
other people that I know in the business have called them Gfel.
So it's a hard G, not a soft G. Don't you dare say
Gfel stuff is no, it's good. I mean, they can be kind of pricey. I know I've been on Studio Economic in Montreal on their site, and I've looked, and they've got. Oh, my boss is calling me. Go away.
All right, Neptune. I will try to get an MD300, and I'll see what I can do. That's the biggest part right now, is getting tech that I can borrow and bring back, because I can't buy every microphone that I want to review, because I would be dead broke. I don't make.
Well, I mean,
enough money.
you're in a good spot where you've got a somewhat cultivated relationship with one of our big chain stores here in Canada.
Yeah,
so.
Whether or not Long and McQuaid carries Microtech Gfel.
They should. Gfel is not particularly on.
They have to have it in stock at that one store too.
Yeah, that could be tough.
I'll let you know, Neptune. Worst case scenario, I'll get a hold of Microtech, and a lot of companies are actually really good. If you can show that you get views, they'll send you product. So I'll put it on my list.
If I'm not mistaken, again, I've never personally purchased a Gfel microphone, but I've used them in studios and they sound great. I believe there's a linkage between Neumann and Gfel somewhere in their historical lineage of Gfel. I believe either somebody that worked or there's a relationship between George Neumann.
Every company seems to have this guy's father's pool boy slept with the mother of that.
Oh man, yeah.
Jeez.
Oh no, it's funny. Even like Universal Audio, I think, is one of the biggest ones. They're like the audio mafia. Like the amount of guys over the years that have come out of the company and Universal Audio is phenomenal for anybody that hasn't ever either used their plugins. Their plugins are fantastic, and their gear is it's stupidly pricey, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely
place.
Stupidly pricey. And now Thunderbolt coming to PC, USB 4 technically is Thunderbolt 3, whatever. You're going to see a lot more Universal Audio kind of saturating the market, I think.
Which I don't know. I mean, I know lots of people that, as far as for professional producers that are on the go a lot, it seems like the rack mount Apollos are kind of the standard now, because really? I know lots of guys that go around in the States that their go-to piece of gear for a front end is the Apollo.
All right.
And I think part of that is because it's got built-in UAD processing power for the plugins, and also apparently the hardware seems to be half decent. I mean, I've listened to records that are made with a UAD, and I'm like, I can't hear those. They're recording like a nylon string guitar, and I can't hear any noise on those preamps at all. What the hell?
No, and that's the thing. That was the one thing. I've had very limited experience with Universal Audio. I jumped
that one you did the twin, the Apollo twin, right?
That was the USB twin, and I gotta say, it wasn't the best representation of Universal Audio.
No, I don't think so, because I remember when I sort of saw your review on it, and you were like, you were not a fan. I was like, I'm so shocked that there's that much of a difference.
I would have to say, and I know this seems small, but for that price, only 55 dB a gain is frustrating.
Yes, but most modern interfaces in that kind of tier of the mid 1.5K sort of range and below are all kind of tailored to condenser mics.
No,
which in most cases that's kind of what people are using. I mean, now with the SM7B, which is obviously being increasing in popularity over the last 10 years, particularly amongst people that are this microphone has sort of become the symbol of success in a lot of different, whether it's podcasting, whether it's YouTubers. Like I see this thing all over the place, and most of the time with people that don't know how to use it.
Neumann founded Microtech.
Yes, I'm reading. Yes, founded by George Neumann, Microtech Gfel. Yeah.
Wow,
interesting. Yeah, so I knew there was some linkage there.
That's kind of the product's going to be fantastic. Well,
it's good stuff.
I mean, Gibson,
but they're also very pricey.
Gibson does own Epiphone, and That's-
But I
Yeah.
mean, no, like Microtech, like Gfel still has microphones that are like $6,000 though.
Oh wow.
Like, yeah,
Okay.
they're not. Their product range is definitely there's some range there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
This whole thing with trying to get microphones, I ran into a bit of a problem. PreSonus released their own podcast microphone. By the way, this is the new thing. This is the new industry standard. Every company has to have a podcast microphone now. Zoom has one. Obviously, Shure brought one out. PreSonus, and it's just becoming the norm now. And
but Shure already had one.
Yeah. So I contacted PreSonus. I'm like, hey, can I get a mic? And they're like, well, we don't do loaners because of COVID. I mean, you talk into it, right?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So
I was about to drag them through the mud a little bit, and then you said COVID. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah.
He was actually really good about it. He's like, dude, once this clears up, I'll send you all the gear. And if they're really,
awesome.
He said, if he's releasing any boards or anything like that, I'll loan those out to you. So anything coming from PreSonus, I'll get. But I have noticed there's been a reticence, an unwillingness to hand out microphones right now. So this is
reticence. Good word.
Thank
Good
you.
word.
There might be a little bit of a dry spell with reviewing mics over the next little bit. I'm going to try my butt off, but I am also making money on YouTube, so I'm going to be transferring a lot of that money back into purchasing, like I did.
So this PreSonus microphone, what's the model name of the podcast mic?
Oh, you'd have to just Google. I can't remember.
I did. I googled it, but it's not.
Really?
Is it the PD70?
Yes, PD70. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
P something 70.
PD70,
Apparently, like
PreSonus.
everybody reviewed it, and it was like, this is great. So I'm really.
It is a USB mic or XLR mic?
USB. They're all going to be.
See,
everything's going to be USB. Like
the other issue I have with the USB mic is if you want to run a panel discussion, USB mics aren't going to be helpful to you.
Ken says I have a thesaurus open up on a second screen. No, I don't. I know that word. I know what it means. CF Wheezy said I got the MB7 due to being able to use both USB and XLR at the same time. You know what? That's a big deal. The only reason, and this is the only reason I would say that you would want a USB and XLR at the same time, is for that. And that's actually a pretty big, I don't know, kind of feather in their cap. That said, I don't think the MV7 was a bad mic. I actually thought it was a great mic. I didn't like the way they marketed it, and I thought that was a little disingenuous of Shure to say, oh, it's based on the SM7B. I just would love to see more,
loosely based on the SM7B.
And what they mean is it looks like the SM7B.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say
model.
that aesthetically, it's a lot like the SM7B.
And the SM7B is so legendary that as soon as you bring that into the same conversation, that's dirty.
Oh, you're going to get a lot of blow. Well, again, we saw this, if you go on, and I mean, Gear Sluts is the worst for this kind of stuff, but if you go on, there are so many opinionated people on that website. I hate it. Hang on.
Yeah. No, Gear Sluts is bad. He's getting phone calls left, right, and center. Zuff Photography, I got the Samsung Q2U for the USB and XLR option. Been doing fine. You know what? The Samsung Q2U, to this day, is still one of the best microphones you can buy to start out. Yeah. It doesn't sound bad. It blew me away when I sat down.
I'll be right back.
All right, do your thing, man.
I gotta go grab a package.
The Samsung.
I gotta go run 7 flights.
All right, 7 flights is. Oh wow. I bought the Samsung Q2U and I tried it out, and it doesn't quite have the same body that you get on an SM58, but the fact that you can buy it for pennies on the dollar compared to the SM58, it is by far one of the best purchases anyone can buy. That said, though, that Q2U, damn it, hasn't been in stock since, or at least for me, I've been looking at the stock, it hasn't been in stock since the pandemic began. So that's one of the biggest problems you have right now with a lot of those. He's living in London, Ontario. And I didn't even know he was in that big of an apartment building. So yeah, 7 flights of stairs. No kidding. As for microphones, I have the P8 coming up in January. That should be coming sometime early January. I also have The SM58, where I'm going to actually rip out the guts and turn an SM58 into an SM7B at Best Buy. No way. Okay, I'm in Canada, Michael. We'll see. Samsung Q2U. They have them in Music City, Canada. That's not bad. $89.99. Is that just me or has that gone up in price? Anybody else notice that? Because that thing was running for about $60 Canadian. And I think it was $30 US, if I recall. Zulf says, I use a Behringer XM8500 on my Yamaha MG10XU. Those Yamahas, they're great live mixers. And that's got a bit more bass than the Samson, but it's only XLR. Yeah, the XM8500 series, the Behringer series, I actually really like. I don't like the handling noise on them, and I actually did the Behringer XM 1800S versus the SM7B, and man, you move that thing around in your hand, and you can hear every little bit of movement on that microphone, which is kind of painful when people do this with their mics. They kind of move them around like this. It's pretty bad. CF Wheezy says everything's more expensive this year. Yeah, I get it. This year's been pretty painful. I did the top microphones and top interfaces to buy in 2020. And the top microphones probably took me 2 weeks to actually put that video together because I would find something that was in stock. It's impossible with a lot of the microphones. You can get the SM7B, but can you get the Procaster? Was it the Procaster, the Rode Procaster? Out of stock. Everything that I used to say was great was just gone. So 2020 has been a miserable mistress for anybody looking to buy gear, let alone computer equipment. I'm trying to rebuild another video editing setup, which I do have a video on that. Whenever I can get some of the gear, I'll have a video on how to actually build a video editing computer for, well, major audio and major video. Bangs Naughty Bits. Hey, Bangs. That's oh, yeah, you're from Reddit, man. How's it going, Bangs? Seaweezy, I was looking for that exact mixer. Oh, so going back to that Yamaha MG10XU, I used to use that for live mixing when we were on the road with a band. And I loved the Yamaha for all that stuff. Yeah, the new gear is... what do you have? Are you talking about my new gear or your new gear? Let me know. But I've never actually sat down with this Yamaha MG10XU. And that's one of those that I want to actually pick up for review soon because they're marketed as a live mixer, and I don't know a lot of people that have actually sat down and used the MG for actual podcasting. So I'd be really curious. Hey, look who's back! What'd you get in the mail, man?
Incompetence kills me. So I got a call on my phone. Courier's trying to drop something off, and they're like, "I can't seem to find your name in the thing." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's weird. Well, here's the code, so you could just do it manually." And so she's like, "It's not working." I said, "Okay, I'll run down and I'll just grab it for him." So I'm in my bare feet, and just my Christmas sweater and my pajama bottoms here. So I must have looked just adorable, or insane. So anyway, I go down. There's nobody in the airlock, like in that little Checkpoint Charlie in the front of the building. So I'm like, "What?" So then I see across, there's like we're kind of the Twin Towers. There's another building across that's very similar, and it's like different address. And sure enough, I see a car with the four-way flashers on, and I'm like, I wonder if that's. So I go over, and I'm in there, and my keys don't work on that person on their door on the other side. So I'm standing really awkwardly in my bare feet in this sweater and my checkered pajama bottoms in the airlock of this. And I see there's somebody with a like a vest on holding a package. I'm like, I guarantee that's the person. They were just being an idiot and they were in the wrong building. And I'm trying to like wave them down. They're not seeing me. Some woman's like trying to like get through to walk her dog, and I'm like trying to get her to let me in, which is obviously doesn't look good at all. So finally I'm like, Are you with it? Are you with Intellicom? She's like, yeah. I'm like, you're at the wrong building. And as I can, like, read, people, read. You gotta read.
All right, let's get back to some of these comments. Bang's
Yeah.
Naughty Bits. I had to wait until you took a drink. All right, Bang's Naughty.
That's amazing.
Now, Bang's Naughty Bits is from Reddit. I know Bang's. I'm guessing a guy. I can't tell by that name, but if you bang Naughty Bits, I'm guessing.
You're familiar with Bang's Naughty Bits?
Yeah, oh, from Reddit. Yeah. There's a lot of Naughty Bits on Reddit.
There are.
Naughty Bits says all the new gear. It's hard not to suggest some of the things that have just come out. It's true, man. There's so much. Trying to pin it down to be able to actually review it, though, it's been miserable. There has been so much stuff. Like the P8's a great example. Technically, the Zoom P8 has been released. Technically. Nobody has it. I think there's one reviewer I saw.
I hate when companies do that. It's like, announce it when it's in the damn store.
Well, and that's the problem with a lot of that. Like the P4 was one that they released it, but they kind of released almost like a paper release, and then all of a sudden, boom, they were there, and everybody had.
Yeah, well,
P4.
I mean, like Intel has been the worst for that. Like they'll announce, we got this cool product. Look how cool it is, and then 7 months later,
10900K, it's coming out this weekend. Next year.
Yeah.
Then Michael Como says, "What affordable interface do you recommend voiceover podcasting?" Those are
Scarlett.
two very different things. And yes,
I say Scarlett.
You are correct, Scarlett. Saying Moto M2 is
the Mark of the Unicorn stuff is okay.
It's good. It's okay. Scarlett, I can personally stand behind.
Scarlett has kind of become an entry-level standard.
Yeah.
And for good reason. I mean, it works really well. They're built like a tank. They're cheap. And they sound okay.
Well, and that's the thing. That's where, when you mention voiceover, podcasting is very different from voiceover. You want to make sure you have crystal clear, depending on the microphone you're using, obviously, but you want to have crystal clear audio or preamps. So I can tell you the Scarlett 2i4, 2i2, whatever you want to get, they're used by voiceover artists around the world.
All over the place.
And you can't go wrong with that. They're a little pricier, but I would say make sure that you grab a Scarlett. I can't say Moto M2 for voiceover.
Don't use it with an SM7 either.
Oh, no. Yeah, if you have an SM7B and you're trying to get, even a Scarlett, you are going to need preamps. You're going to need a cloud lifter.
Yeah.
Or a FET.
Scarlett's optimized for like ideally around 45 dB of gain or less, whereas if this thing 65 dB,
you're going to need a cloud lifter or FET head. So add that on if you're getting an SM7B.
Just tack her on.
And then 2020, the year of look what we made. You will never find it in stock. Literally, how many paper releases have been out this year?
Man, they've been giving me that's not good.
It's not just audio either. Like microphones, interfaces,
it's all across.
But
product lines. Just
and
in
you
general.
know why this happened, right? Is a lot of manufacturing. Where does it happen? China. Where did that start, right? Like, and that's coronavirus started in China, and it knocked out their industry. I'm surprised they're still catching up. Like, I'm surprised they've caught up as much as they have with the amount.
Yeah, well, they were one of the they were where it started and where it was the worst for a while, and then they were also the first country to get it under control, allegedly. Again, there's a lot of lies that come from the Chinese government, so I don't know what to believe. But
however they did it, they're now pumping out content or stuff. So I'm not exactly sure how they got it under control, but a lot of the Chinese manufacturing is kicking in. But then you look at video cards for computers, computer equipment in general. You go into a computer store, it's gone.
Even in the States, like in manufacturing places, let's be honest, they're, as far as human resources are concerned, these places are packed like sardine cans. So not the most ideal working situation for a pandemic.
Bangs Naughty Bits says the self noise is low on the Moto M2 M4 unless you actively need hot levels. Why would you need a cloud lifter? That's not what they're for. If you have, really quickly, Dylan, can you look at what the Moto M2 and M4 have for gain? To drive an SM7B, you need 61 dB of gain.
Depends.
61 to 65 dB of gain.
I think ideally you want more dB because on any microphone preamp, when you're in the last couple degrees of that knob,
Yeah,
that's not the place
that's
you want to be. And
ultra noise.
if you only have 60 dB of gain, like my Mackie here as an example, my board has 60 dB of gain on the preamps, and in order to drive this SM7 healthily, that knob's at 5 o'clock.
So it has 60. So there's 60 dB of gain on the Moto M2 M4, and the EIN is negative 129.
Okay, negative 129 is pretty
That's
decent,
pretty quiet,
actually.
Yeah.
You're never going to get below, I think, factoring in the average temperature. Like the SM7, for example, the termination is like, what is it, like 150 ohms, which has a residual, like a Johnson or residual thermal resistance of like a thermal noise, I should say, of like negative 130 or 131. So negative 129 is pretty solid.
Yeah. Negative 133 is the limit, Bangs Naughty Bit says.
Yeah, that's, I knew it was around.
So yeah, 60 dB of gain, like, yeah, you could drive an SM7B. I don't know if that's like going to be enough. Of course, you can always boost and post. But
it also depends on what kind of VO you're doing. Like if you're doing, regular, I'm Randy Radio, yeah, you'll get a good read. But if you're going for something sensitive and a little more subtle, like a character read of some kind, or like a PSA read or something, you're probably going to want to make sure that noise floor is virtually, well, again, if the noise floor is a negative 129.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. The Moto M2 and M4, I've used them, but not with an SM7B. I've come across... This was when I wasn't able to actually do a review on them, and a buddy had them. But yeah, once again, never used an SM7B for it, so that might be a good little practice run.
SM7B is like the standard, like benchmark.
I haven't had access to an SM7B the whole time. Yeah, it must be nice. Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, like it's kind of the as far as like the worst operating conditions that you can put a preamp is either a ribbon mic.
Yeah.
Or an SM7.
So
ribbon mics, I would argue, are probably worse, but the SM7 is a good.
Cloud lifters and FET heads are massively over-recommended for modern gear.
They're a Band-Aid fix, really.
They are a Band-Aid fix, and this is why I kind of complain that not having decent output on a $1,200 interface is kind of annoying. 55 dB of gain kind of being the standard.
In a perfect world, you want to have all the gain, like adding a FET head or adding a cloud lifter is just adding to your gain stages. And that's
absolutely
a recipe for more noise, more interference, just more problems in general. So ideally,
but like for somebody that doesn't post-process or somebody that doesn't have the plugins for going live, that kind of stuff is, cloud lifters are going to become very, very normal. My wife just sent me an email. I've got to pick up my ramen at 6:30.
Nice.
No, you're right. Cloud lifters
never stops.
They have been massively over-recommended, but at the same time, they're also, for a voiceover artist, using a FET head or a cloud lifter is ridiculous. That's probably not going to be happening. However, but for 4 podcasters sitting down with a Scarlett 4i, what is it? The 4i4?
4i4, there's 8i12.
8i12. You're not going to have enough behind that to get 4 guys going live to a podcast without any ability to actually sit down and post-process. That's the reality of today. This is why USB mics are one of the most popular selling items for people starting their studio at home, is because they don't even know how to gain up, right? So
now, I think there's now, because there was a time, right, in the 60s and 70s with audio where everyone that worked in audio wore like lab coats, basically. Like it was a highly technical field. Now, one of the sort of the consequences of the fact that it's become so easy to do all this now is that you've got a lot of people doing this stuff. They're having problems with very little understanding of the technical aspect of what's going on. And I'm not knocking those people. I mean, we were all there. I was there at a point, probably longer than most people. Most people should be. But so I think the thing is understanding things like gain stages. Why are expensive preamps so expensive? I just had a conversation with a coworker about this the other day, and there's the whole I'm not gonna get into that rabbit hole, but like like that. No, that's getting way too technical. But point is there's all kinds of stuff that the ease of use of all this stuff has kind of masked all of these best practices that we really should be always following.
CF Wheezy says it's more of a quick and dirty fix, not a perfect solution. That's true.
Nope.
And I've seen
100%.
one of the most mind-blowing setups I saw was, it was not the ID44, it's the Steinberg UR44, 4 SM7Bs, 4 cloud lifters. Like, I'm sorry, if you're getting 4 cloud lifters for your SM7Bs, why aren't you using a Fethead at least? Because they're cheaper. And
was he using 4 cloud lifters or the one like the 4 port?
No,
cloud?
4
I think
separate cloud lifters. So yeah, I was just like, oh man. Neptune says Evo 4 and 8 with Smart Gain nailed it. I've never used the Evo series.
Personally, my favorite thing to use to drive the SM7 is this is a bit of a niche piece, but it is the AEA RPQ2 mic preamp, which has 80 dB of gain, and it is designed for ribbon mics, which are like notoriously not sensitive, which is why it works amazingly, and it also colors the sound really good for the SM7. But that's like a $2,000 mic preamp, so. I think that's the other thing to consider is you've got to measure price to performance. I mean, the SM7 is going to set you back $500 or $600 right away. Boom. The average person is not necessarily going to be interested in dropping that kind of coin. You might be better off getting like a Sennheiser Mark IV or something that sounds really good and is half the price. And also can be driven by a normal preamp. But then on top of that, cloud lifter and then the interface, like you're looking at like $1,000 when all is said and done, which for people in the biz, not that big a deal. For people just starting out that haven't made any return at all on the investment or don't even have a hope of returning on that investment yet, it doesn't make sense.
You're better off spending the money on an interface. This is Bangs. Can I call you Bangs or just Naughty Bits? I'm not sure. The EIN of the Scarlet is negative 125 dB. 125.8? No, it's 125 dB and 56 max gain. It's silly to use a Fethead for 2 dB of noise. For a Zoom H6 at an EIN of negative 120 or maybe a P4 at negative 124 dB, maybe. The P4 has plenty of gain. You don't need anything, any kind of preamp in line with that because it handles it just fine. And Fetheads roll off the low end at 80 to 100 hertz. And yeah, that is mildly a problem. I get that compared to the cloud lifter.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, stuff down there I generally don't want anyway on a vocal.
Yeah.
So if I was recording a bass amp, if I was recording a bass amp or a kick drum, that might be an issue. But in some
100 hertz is getting
VO
close.
Cases,
100 hertz is getting awfully close.
It's getting close to the range. I generally with a lot. Again, it depends on the VO. For a singing VO, 100 hertz gone immediately.
Yeah.
For radio imaging, gone immediately. For podcast, probably not. Podcast, give it a natural sound. But geez, sometimes with imaging VO, I'm rolling off all the way up to like 400 hertz. Like it depends on your application. It's all about, in my opinion, it's all about the application.
Yeah, and it all, as you're saying. Sorry, I had to close the window there. This is one for you. Neptune is asking AudioFuse Studio versus Audient ID44. Any thoughts?
Ooh, that's a toughie.
Audient ID44.
You've used the AudioFuse, obviously.
Oh, I love the Studio.
So here's the thing. I haven't used the AudioFuse, so I can't speak to it. Aiden can. But I have used Audient's large format consoles. And in fact, right now, I'm going through an Audient ASP880.
Nice.
Which is the same preamps that are inside the ID44. So from me talking right now, you can sort of gauge quality. And again, that is driving the SM7 with no cloud lifter directly in, and then from that into a converter. So they're good preamps. Audient is a good company. They're sort of on the budget level of the British stuff, and the price point, I think, for the ID44 or the ID14, because the 44 is the bigger one.
Yeah, the 44 is the bigger one, 20 and 24 out. And it's
and the nice thing I think about both of those interfaces is if you want to record, like let's say you're starting off, you just want to do VO, you can get the ID14 with its, I think, 1 or 2 preamps in it maybe. And then if you want to upscale, it's got an ADAT input, which you can then go and buy the ASP 800 for $1,000, which gives you 8 mic preamps, and plug that into your ID14. I think Audient really did a great job, and I've seen a lot of really good reviews on it. Again, I've used their preamps before. I love the cleanliness. If you're looking for a preamp that imparts character into your mic pre's, this is not going to do that. These are ultra clean, I mean, they're not identical to a straight piece of wire as electric. They always say the best compliment you can give to a mic preamp is that it sounds like a straight piece of wire.
Yeah.
So these aren't that, but for the price to value, it's there.
So the price is actually cheaper. The ID44 is cheaper than the AudioFuse Studio. Well, it's not that much. It's about $300 cheaper. $979 for the 44.
And the
Canadian. That's Canadian. So it's basically $1,000 is $1,200 for the AudioFuse Studio Canadian. You can get it in US dollars, $888 for the AudioFuse Studio, and I'm guessing B&H has it for the ID22 for $637. So,
and the 44, what's that sitting at?
Studio Economic is $979. So you take off the 30%. That's.
But again, I think you have to then assess, do you need... So look up the ID14 and see what that goes for.
The ID14 is cheap. ID14 at avshop.ca is $419 Canadian.
Yeah, so I think, again, from what I know of the spec sheet on those two things, all you're really getting with the 44 over the 14 is added inputs, which you can upscale that anyway. Like if you decide with the ID14 that you need more inputs.
But if you need those inputs, you know it right away, and you're going to get the 44. With mine, I have 4 XLR-ins, but it's an 18 in, 20 out because it's got everything else that you can throw at the sink in this thing. So, I mean, if you need the extra inputs, I got to get an ID44. I got to try it out. I've got to actually compare the two. Comparing interfaces drives me nuts, though, because
it's hard, because you've got to.
Well, what's the sound quality difference? Well, not only that, you can put them side by side, but no one over YouTube is going to pick up on the sound quality difference between two $1,000
compression.
Nothing. So it's one of those, like, you're going to have to take me for my word for which one I like more, and I think utility comes in more.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is you're going to be talking about feature set a lot more, and I think the AudioFuse, from what I've seen, I think they've packed more stuff into it.
Yeah, it's a pretty serious piece of gear, and I love it. Had no problems with it. And one of the big things that I love about it that I ran into with the other one that I did, the USB. We were talking about it earlier.
MV7?
No, the interface.
The PEA?
No, it was the big who has a bigger knob.
UA,
Universal Audio. The one I had with that is it didn't play well with Windows, and that's the problem that I really did run into it with it. I could use it with Windows, but it didn't work with CleanFeed, and CleanFeed is something I use for my job. So that's a pretty big deal when you're looking at which one to buy. So I'll try to get a hold of it, and I'll see how I can do a comparison or maybe just an overview of it. But for now, I would say like the one I can recommend is the AudioFuse Studio. It's a few extra dollars, but it's
that's the thing. You're gonna see Andrew's used the AudioFuse but hasn't used the Audient. I've used the Audient but not the AudioFuse. So we're both basing this on our own experiences, and I can't speak to his thing and he can't speak to my thing. So it would be nice to see though once you get, because I have no interest in grabbing, even though the AudioFuse Studio is great, but I have
enough gear. You don't need more crap.
I don't need
CF Wheezy says, coming from a gaming streaming community, we didn't know what we're doing. The 2i2 with a cloud lifter and SM7B is the norm. Not that it's the actual solution, but it's easy and cheap.
It works.
Okay, but a cloud lifter and SM7B isn't cheap though.
No, it's $700, $780, almost $800.
An SM58 in a cloud lifter is cheap, although don't put a cloud lifter on an SM58.
No, well, I wouldn't. Well, you wouldn't need to. Are you recording mosquitoes farting?
Oh, why do you need... He says cheap. I mean, versus going with an actual live mixer and learning how to use it. Yeah, that's fair. Sorry, Bangs Naughty Bits. I apologize, man. I think we're referencing something that happened a little while back there. Depends on how much you get paid for the work, whether there is a difference, and you can completely bypass the amp if you go into the 1/4 inch live level.
Yep.
Yeah. So
line level,
yeah,
line input.
yeah. I think that's all the comments. Wow, I gotta say this turns into a busy.
This
day
has been
when you
very
have comments.
engaging. I like how
Yeah.
engaging this live stream
No,
has been.
absolutely.
And we can also prove. We can also. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that like. I have a couple of conspiracy theorist friends, and they're always so fun to talk to. Oh man,
Where
Trudeau.
did that come
he's
from?
like there was one conspiracy theory that came out that Trudeau like killed his whole family or something, and he's actually a clone.
God.
He's a clone, and I'm like, what?
Well,
like
his wife doesn't
these
like
people.
him. Yeah, you know
they have
that.
too much time on their hands.
Yeah.
But so anyway, what I was getting at is I have one friend who has a theory that all live streams they're all faked.
Oh,
They're
really?
all like YouTube just puts the word live to get people to watch it, but they're not actually. So I feel like comments and engaging with comments is a way that you can prove that.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Actually,
Linus Tech Tips, their Friday live stream, which this is why we're doing it at this time, because I have no interest in trying to compete
competing
with Linus Tech Tips. Yeah, we ain't that big.
No.
But one of the things that everybody can always, every single time, oh, this is taped, and they just run it. And then they end up reading like their chats at the end. That they run they only answer their super chats, which definitely not a problem I have. So I am a fake comment. Yeah. Thanks, Banks. Yeah, this has all been set up prior, by the way.
Oh yeah. Everyone's been paid off. It's like NASA and the flat Earth conspiracy.
Legit, I found a channel like a week ago. I love learning I found my channel a week ago. I love learning new things and know every little bit of content you provide. Just here to better myself and hang out. And you know what, CF Wheezy? That was from CF. I don't know everything
That's
either.
Awesome. None of us do. I sirs don't.
Yeah.
I don't even know half of everything.
For me, I look up to Dylan. Dylan's kind of like
which is funny because I just said I don't know half of everything.
Well, no, but that's the thing, right? Like we all have like that's why when I started talking about Dylan, I was like, dude, how about we, do this one video which was the SM58 versus the SM7B and kind of go through some of this stuff, because there's some things I don't know, and that's okay. I'm also learning a lot of stuff as I go, as I build my studio out. Not everyone's going to walk into this with all the knowledge, and don't let people who know more than you make you feel bad for not knowing more than.
No, like to me, those people have confidence issues. Like for
well,
me,
they're all in
I
gear
know.
sluts. Avoid gear sluts.
Oh, yeah, just get the hell away from gear sluts. No, it's hell. But no, anyone who knows stuff at some point knew nothing. And to me, you have no reason. If you know stuff, you have no moral high ground over somebody that doesn't know stuff, because someday that person who doesn't know stuff will know more than you. And for me, I love teaching people stuff. I don't treat people that know less than me like they're less than me, because they're just not. We're all
Unless
people.
it's me.
We're all trying to do good stuff and pick up little tricks along the way. And then there's Aiden. Aiden's in his own category.
It's one of those things where, I love having a studio. I love being able to, I do my morning show live from here, and I'm not just a microphone plugged into a computer and going. I wanted to have the setup because I do voiceover as well.
Yeah, you want to rig. Yep.
And I want to know what I'm doing, what I'm talking about, so that's when you start to learn this stuff. And yeah, it's cool that you can make a hangout where everyone can learn, makes everyone feel better about themselves. Yeah, or better themselves, yeah. Ken says, where's my check, damn it? Ken, it's in the mail. I don't know where you live because you're a trucker, but that's okay. You'll get it eventually. It's somewhere out there. But you know what? I do want to say to everyone that's here, Merry Christmas. I don't.
I'm wearing my Christmas sweater here.
It's very sweet. This is not my Christmas shirt. Sorry. I think I might put a video out next week. I might. We're getting close to Christmas, and I notice like views are tanking, which is fine. I get it. Everyone's busy, but it's also like I'm kind of busy too. I do have a bunch of content lined up for the new year, but if I do release a video on Monday, I might send out a Merry Christmas video closer to Christmas. But if I do put one out on Monday, it's going to be the last gear-related or channel-related video for the year. Outside of that, I think if I don't put one out on Monday, this is the last time. But yeah, Merry Christmas,
2020.
The one thing that I'm coming back with in January is I'm going to do a channel overview. I might do this for Monday, but a channel overview looking at where my channel started at the beginning of the year to where I am now, at
That'd be
how
cool.
much money I've made, which a lot of people are kind of curious about. I haven't made it a ton. I've made a little bit, but and kind of like how to build small content. That's what we are. Like, that's what Dylan is. It's what I am. We're not making millions of dollars, and how to build that channel up. I got to say, this past year, Dylan, looking at the way the views have gone is fascinating.
Mhm.
Like, I still,
Yeah, I enjoy, like, I'm kind of a nerd like that too. I really I enjoy digging into analytics and trying to figure out like what this psychology, the pattern, you know,
well,
like what's happening with
at
it.
the beginning of 2020, this channel was getting 20 views a day.
And now you're up to like
Yeah.
100 views a day.
Well, actually, no. At the beginning of December of last year, my bad. The beginning of December of last year, I was getting 20 views a day, and then I put out one video that spiked, and then everything was an uphill climb from there. It's fascinating to look at, and I think it's probably going to be an interesting look. Maybe throw in a minute or two of where you started in your field. Okay.
Hey, that's cool. A little biographical, a little bit.
Actually, I'll throw in a little bit of that. Radio is short and long of it.
Radio.
But yeah, no.
Well, no, you started when you played guitar there with Bob Dylan way back when.
Smoked a joint with Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a story.
Good
But
old Mr. Zimmerman.
thanks, Ken. Thanks, CF. Thanks, Bangs Naughty Bits. I can't believe I'm saying that on the live stream. Hey, if I get demonetized for saying Bangs Naughty Bits 20 times, man, I'm gonna be mad.
He's coming at you, yeah.
Thanks, Neptune. Everyone else, Zolf Photography, Michael Como, thanks for commenting. Thanks for the year. Thanks for getting us to where we are. And we'll see you next. We'll see you after the 1st, nice and early. Have yourself a great day.
Yeah.
We'll see you then.
Ciao.